Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leo shirt and the Sober Curator to bring you the July 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Aries for sun and rising placements. We are about to enter July. We start out every July in Cancer season, and July is a little bit of a turbulent month halfway through. So the first half of July, I would say, is a little bit easier for us than the last half. With that said, Cancer makes a hard aspect to Aries. So Aries is cardinal fire. You guys are all about initiating the will, the will towards whatever it is you guys want. You're very linear, you're very direct. When you know what you want, you go after it in a very straightforward way. But it can be hot. It can be hot and fast and impulsive, and there can be a lack of forethought. You often find yourself reaping a lot of consequences for actions that you didn't really think through all the way. Cancer energy can be really similar, but in a completely different way because it's the ruler of cardinal water. And so this has more to do with our emotions, our need to be needed, our need to assert what we think is better for somebody else. And so, as we know, Aries, you are a leader. Nobody can tell you what to do. You like to be in control. You like to assert what you know and what you think, even if it's subtle. Even if you're like, I'm not overt. I don't dominate spaces. Even the areas that are quiet and introverted, there is an underlying way that you want to be in control of your world and your environment, and that's understandable. Like feeling like we have a sense of control tends to put us at ease in certain ways. The issue with the Cancer energy is that when the Cancer energy is coming in and making the square to you, it does challenge the way in which you want to control things or the way in which you're operating. And Cancer is emotional, it's vulnerable, it's okay with crying, it's okay with expressing feelings and emotions. And, I know plenty of Aries that are really good at expressing feelings and emotions, but it tends to come out in a different way than Cancer. Cancer might be more trying to commit something in a vulnerable way or an emotional way. And Aries comes in it more hot, reactive, fiery. So you're working through some of those kinds of themes. And then with Cancer, there's also kind of this, maybe somebody else is coming in and trying to assert what they think you need. And you don't like being told by anybody else what you need. You know what you need, and you don't want somebody else coming in and telling you that. But there might be something during July where you need to be open. I think Cancer season is always going to be challenging for you in that way, where it's challenging you to be open, vulnerable, and maybe see different ways that you can approach something in a more water-like way, a less fiery way. And water is still very emotional. So it doesn't mean that we're not having reactions. It doesn't mean that we're not processing feelings, talking things out. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not confronting things. It's just we're being vulnerable. Emotional energy is vulnerable, it's sensitive. We're taking into account other people's feelings just as much as we're asserting our feelings. We're holding space, we're holding compassion, we're holding empathy. Empathy and compassion live in the water realm. So, water doesn't necessarily mean that we're doormats. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're overly soft or not emotional. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Water's very emotional, but it's vulnerable. It's really getting into the feeling centers of things. And air and fire signs tend to want to avoid some of that work, right? You kind of want to brush past it, maybe talk about things in a really linear way and then just move on. You don't want to sit in the feeling. Water energy wants to sit, process the feeling, and really lean into how we can transmute that energy into something different. And fire is really good at transmuting energy. So when fire and water are working together, it can be really powerful. So we're starting out July kind of in this theme for you with Cancer season. In the beginning of July, we have Mercury moving through Cancer until the 2nd. And then on the 2nd, Mercury is going to move into the fixed fire sign of Leo. And this is going to ramp up all the fire energy with communication. So where Mercury has been in the Aries horoscope is in the house that has to do with home and family. So your home life has been a big theme for you, and Mercury's been passing through there. Mercury has to do with communication, maybe systems, working things out around home, themes around that. Venus is still in Cancer, so Venus is still passing through this area for the first half of July. But with Mercury moving into Leo, Mercury is going to be entering your house of creativity. So Mercury, the planet of self-expression and communication, comes into the house of creativity and self-expression and makes a harmonious angle to, I shouldn't say harmonious, it's a fast, easy angle. It's a trine to your ascendant and your sun. And so fire likes fire. All the fire energy is getting ramped up at the very start of July when Mercury enters Leo. And so again, like we're kind of talking about this communication theme where when Mercury is in a fire sign and it's impacting you, things get fiery, things get spicy, things get sexy. Fire energy is very sexy, very passionate. Leo energy is very creative, very romantic, likes to have fun, likes to be joyful. So Mercury in Leo is a period for self-exploration, self-expression, creativity, joy, those types of things. Venus is going to be finishing up her time in Cancer, and then she's going to be joining the Leo party on the 12th. And when Venus enters Leo, this is a really, Venus and Mercury in Leo, really positive times for creative self-expression, rediscovering maybe art or creative projects that you haven't been focusing on or working on, romance, just all of those themes. Venus was retrograde in Leo from July to September last year, and Venus entered Leo in June of last year. So we want to think about where you were at last year and then think about the themes that are coming up for you this year with Venus and Leo, because a bunch of those themes are going to be coming back up for you to review and work through this other layer. So that's a big theme. The other thing that's happening at the beginning of the month is Neptune stationing retrograde on July 2nd in Pisces. So we have Saturn retrograde starting the month out. We're going to have Neptune stationing retrograde, and then we have Pluto retrograde. And the area of the chart for the Aries horoscope that Neptune's retrograde in with Saturn is the area of the 12th house. And that is the area that rules the subconscious and our connection to hidden things, secrets, hidden fears, past life trauma, past life karma, our desire to escape reality, existential kind of themes around reality, life, death, spirituality, escapism through substances. We're all kind of confronting these themes with the Neptune retrograde. And Neptune's going to be retrograde, I believe, until December. And then it's going to continue on until March before entering your sign of Aries. And so Neptune stationing retrograde at 29 degrees. I talked a lot about this in the July astrology forecast and how we're wrapping up a story from the last 14 years. So think back to 2012 when Neptune was first entering Pisces. We started a story. Now we're at the end of that story. And this is happening for you in the subconscious. This is related to trauma. It's related to ancestral and past life healing. It's related to spirituality. It could also be related to stories around addiction or unhealthy escapism. So there's a big theme for you around those types of things. Mars is going to be in Taurus for the first half of July. And before we get into it moving into Gemini, we have, let's see, our first moon of the month. The new moon is happening on July 5th at 14 degrees of Cancer. And so the area that this is hitting for you is the area that rules the home and family. And it's kind of touching on those Cancer themes again that we talked at the middle of, or at the beginning of the video. And new moons are a great time for setting intentions. So whatever you want to manifest in your home life and also with your family, this new moon is a really positive time to set intentions towards that, especially when it comes to karmic healing. So if there's anything within the family lineage that you feel like you want to set intentions towards healing in the spiritual plane, anything around your living situation or your home life, this is a really positive time to set those intentions and be telling the universe what you want during this new moon. So then as the month progresses, the next big shift of energy that we have is Mars entering Gemini. So Mars is going to be in Taurus. Where Mars has been in your chart is your area of finances. And Mars in the second house brings, conflict and hardship usually to money, but money also can be coming in. So when Mars is in the second house, we can have money coming and going really fast. And also we could have unexpected expenses that we weren't planning on, and it can just feel kind of like a chaotic time. And Mars is finally going to be leaving that area on the 21st. However, it's entering the sign of Gemini and entering your house of communication. So there's a couple things here, having Mars in the sign of Gemini, it already ramps up anxiety and overthinking and just feeling kind of chaotic. We think about the tarot cards, the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Swords, these cards that have a lot to do with anxiety and kind of fears, perpetual overthinking, analysis paralysis, these types of themes. And the area that it's hitting for you is your area of communication. And so Mars in the communication house can bring conflict that you're initiating and conflict that you're also on the receiving end of. So those are things that you're going to be kind of up against. And then Mercury is going to station retrograde in August while Mars is in Gemini for all of August. So communication is definitely going to be challenging for you through July, the last half of July, and the whole month of August is definitely rocky. Mercury is, well, before I get into that, the sun is going to be entering Leo on the 22nd, and it's going to be highlighting that area of your chart that has to do with your creative self-expression. This is such a positive time for you to explore yourself, who you are, and things that you want to change. If there's things about yourself where you're like, I want to start dressing this way, or I want to dye my hair this way, or I want to, change something about how I communicate in the world or how I put myself out there, if I want to rebrand my business, these themes come up with the energy of Venus and the sun in your fifth house, because this is all about how you share yourself. Also, if you're a performer, if you're a musician or an actor or somebody that does any kind of performing in life, that energy gets really boosted during this time with the sun here and Venus here. Mercury is going to enter Virgo on the 25th, and Mercury in Virgo is going to be hitting the area of the chart that has to do with your daily routine. So it's the sixth house, and in this part of the chart, we have our health, we have how we organize and structure our day, we have how we're of service to others in the work that we do, and then we also have our relationship to pets here. And so those themes get highlighted while Mercury is in Virgo, and Mercury is going to be in Virgo for the rest of July. The other thing that we have towards the end of July, right before that, is a full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn on July 21st. So the area that this is hitting for you is your work, your career. 29 degrees is, so we had a full moon in Capricorn at the beginning of Cancer season, and that was at the end of June. It was June 21st. We had a 1 degree Capricorn full moon, which is a great time for you to set intentions and manifest things for your career. Now, a month later, on July 21st, literally a month later, we have a 29 degree full moon. 29 degrees is that last degree point that's great for ending things or cutting cords or an end of a chapter, some kind of shift. So you're going to be in a position where there's something that if you want to be over, or you want to cut the cord, or you're ready to kind of shed or release something, this full moon on July 21st at 29 degrees Capricorn is a great time to set intentions towards shedding and releasing that as well. All right, those are the major shifts of energy for you, Aries. I'm going to leave you there. There's a lot more going on that I go over in the July 2024 astrology forecast. I go into all of the deeper aspects. I also offer one-on-one readings if you want to see how this month is impacting you on a personal level in your natal chart. My email will be in the description box, and you can email me to book a reading. All right, you can find me at ladyofleisure.com and thesobercurator.com, and I will see you guys all in August. Good luck.